Hey everybody, this is Mad Matt Carter. Thank you so much for watching the AIWF Network YouTube channel as well as the AIWF Ringside Wrestling channel. If you like what you see, please do us a big favor. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell to get notifications every time we post new videos on both our channels. It means a lot to us, and thanks a lot for watching once again.
Welcome, everybody, to the Professor Rick Del Santo podcast. This is, of course, the Professor Rick Del Santo. I have a very special guest today. His first appearance on this show. I've actually had the opportunity to talk to you on previous podcasts. You've done some amazing things for me in the past as far as graphics and video intros and stuff. We're bringing in the Red Devil, Chris Mooch. What's going on?
How are ya? Yeah, the video editing thing, that's my secret hobby. It keeps me busy.
Yeah, I love playing around, editing on, I do make like a lot of graphic videos or graphics on my phone, my laptop. It's a lot of fun to just kind of hang around, and when you don't have anything to do, you know what I mean? I just kind of play around.
Also, being a worker in business, when you don't have the money to dish out to have somebody do it for you, it was just like, let me download it and start messing around, and it just picked up. And this was when I was in Florida too, and I was helping a company do graphics for them, but took advantage and was like, hey, we're not going to pay you for anything. And I'm like, okay. And then when I was done with them, they're like, can we have that stuff? I'm like, no, you don't own it.
I'm very thankful to people such as you, Nick Payne. Like, both of you have helped me quite a bit with things such as graphics and stuff like that. So I'm very thankful. And, I always offer people something to, but most people just refuse, and, just give them make sure that they get the credit that they deserve out there.
It's one of those things to where I want to help everybody, but when you take advantage, that's when I won't ask for anything, but I'll just back off.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, I can feel people. You're a good dude. So I offer all the boys, hey, if you need me to do something, just let me know, and then where it goes.
Right.
But I never asked for a dime. It's just like, we're all starting, and we should be helping each other in this business, but not everybody's like that. So
we have a good community, you know what I mean? A lot of us, I guess you could say, it's like patting each other on the back or giving each other a little boost, because I'm more than happy. I mean, I've had a lot of people on podcasts in the past to help promote them, and that's kind of like, where I go, what I do, etc. And that's not the only thing, but, it's always good to create the brotherhood and friendship with a lot of people and help people, provided they're just not going to take advantage of you. And there are guys out there that, they won't be mentioned, but there are definitely guys out there who will take advantage of you. And, we see them at shows all the time. So,
yeah, I just want to see people succeed. So it's like when I go down to the Paradise Valley training facility and working with the younger guys and just watching them get it. You know what I mean? Because when I was brought up, it was a different time, and it was just one of those, let's see how much money we can get out of them before, and the school closed before I got it, so I had to learn as I went too, up until I found a school to go to. But yeah, this business is a crazy business.
Did we talk to you? When I interviewed you previously on the Pro Wrestling Wire podcast, did I talk to you about that school that you mentioned right there?
Yeah, we touched base about it over there.
Right. I don't think you mentioned
it.
You don't have to mention the name.
Yeah.
I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm not going to, force that. And
I want to say, so Bobby Ocean was training a little bit before I was, and long story short, we were trained by the same guy, and he had reached out and gotten me my first real serious booking, and that company, Defiant Pro Wrestling, they eventually opened a training facility. Okay. And once I got there, that's where I started to pick up and learn and train with everybody. And at some point, I was even living there because I couldn't afford to travel from the house to there. But yeah, we touched base on it last podcast.
Now, if I remember correctly, Defiant Pro was based out of like the Naugatuck Waterbury area. Is that correct? Yeah, and
Yes, sir.
I think they used to book their shows at the was it the Portuguese Club?
Portuguese Club.
Club, yes. So I used to drive over to my uncle's and my grandmother's house like kind of every Friday. I used to drive by that building all the time when I was younger, and then they started booking wrestling there. So then I started going to wrestling there. So that kind of had a little bit of specialness to me for a brief period because my grandparents lived right over there, you know.
Every time I see that building, it has a special spot for me because that's where I first started.
Mm-hmm.
That I first started working monthly. I started out in the pre-show and then worked my way up, and then at some point, he took a hiatus because they opened a school on East Main Street in Waterbury,
Right.
literally walking distance from the mall. Luckily, in between then, I had a quick knee surgery, and then started rocking and rolling there. I won my first title there. Yeah, that company means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's that time period, and we're going back probably 10, 15 years, stuff roughly like that, right? Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the promoter, he's been gone. He passed away, ironically, a month after my dad passed away. Mike Milano.
That's right.
That was, I want to say it was 14 years ago that he passed away. But he helped develop me and get me on my feet and get me going, and I learned a lot from him. So
yeah, I remember him.
Then
I remember him, and I remember watching him, seeing him on public access TV. On I don't know if you remember was it the Rich T show? The show Rich T was on. It was he hosted like a public access TV show on what was it, on Cablevision? Out of which was it aired in the Woodbridge area, the Fairfield area, and Cablevision really didn't have a lot of areas in Connecticut, but for some reason, I think he might have been on other public access channels throughout the area as well. I can't remember really.
Well, it's funny because he got his start also the same guy I did, Dredd did, Bobby Ocean did. We all kind of got our start with Jason, and
Right.
He was helping with Assault. And he would do their public access. He would put their stuff on public access, which it's crazy now. Just public access. It's crazy. Like there was a couple companies. CCW used to have their stuff on a public access,
There's
and then
CCW. There's New England Pro Wrestling, which was hosted by the Hungry Man, if you remember. Big Daddy was a big part of that show as well. The Guardian of Chaos for many shows.
I keep trying to convince Big Daddy to come out of retirement and manage me. He just did it.
I would absolutely love that because I've known that guy a long time, and having him, watching him all those times. I remember the first time I met him through Jason Knight. That was the first time I ever met Big Daddy, really, because I remember seeing him. He was working for Northeast at the time. It was that main event derby, maybe. I might be getting the location wrong, but it was him, Yokozuna, Jim Neidhart, and Jake Roberts in the main event. I'm trying to remember who the other partner was, and that's the first time I ever saw Big Daddy. I had a friend that was friends with Jason Knight. We went to go meet Jason at a bar, and Big Daddy was there. So, and it was just that was the first time, and that was after like a Monday Night Raw in the New Haven Coliseum. That's how long ago it was. So, and that building hasn't been standing for quite some time.
It's crazy. I don't think Jason gets enough credit for a lot of the talent that he helped develop, train, put out there, give them start, stuff like that. It's good, bad, or indifferent. He had his hand in everything, and
Right.
I will always appreciate him helping get me started. But yeah, and now it's been, that was probably like late 2003, 2004 is when I started.
Yeah. Oh wow. So, that long ago. Wow.
Yeah, but, and then too, I didn't really start working regularly until probably, I want to say maybe late 05, 06.
Okay.
Like I did some stuff radically early on. Like I worked the last couple of Salt shows before, and then he got me and ironically, at the last couple of Salt shows, the last one I remember, he had Chris Candido there, and I had got him, and then he got me booked on an NWA New Jersey show, and I got to meet him again, and then his school had closed, and then there was a pause there again until Bobby Ocean reached out and was like, "Hey, I need somebody to work," and I was like, "Okay." So that's.
I had the opportunity to call one of Bobby Ocean's match up in Holyoke, Mass, like last week. So it was kind of an honor to be on commentary and watch him wrestle. So to get to be able to work with him, you know what I mean? There's certain guys in the area that that I've been watching for years that I'd love to call their matches, and I really had a lot of. It was a lot of fun being able to call that match. Me and the Enforcer, Kevin Sabin, right there.
Me and him were, like I said, matched at the hip. We were the pre-show for Defiant for quite a while, and then he got the call up to the main roster, and then shortly after I followed. But I owe a lot to him too, because we worked sporadically on and off for the longest time. So
right.
It's been a while since I've been in a ring with him, but he's another guy that I at some point maybe I'll try and get back in the ring with.
Let me ask you. So, now that we've had the opportunity, we're talking earlier 2000 stuff that, I was around for that time. I recorded a lot of that stuff on a camcorder from the front row or to the side and stuff like that. And I had a bunch of tapes. Some of my tapes, I'm sure you remember the guy Shane Torius, who used to film them all for the public access TV shows and stuff like that. I think he went on and did some camera work for Ring of Honor as well. They borrowed some of my footage because I guess sometimes they wouldn't have enough battery in their damn cameras, and then I was still rolling, so they had to take stuff from my angle and use it. So that's kind of where I got my start in a way. You know what I mean? So many years ago. But what do you think about Jason's been putting out there? He's been starting Assault back up. What do you think about that? I think it's in New Jersey, maybe.
I think that's where I'm glad he's doing something, and he's so knowledgeable about the business. Yeah. I'm glad that he's out there helping the future and getting his name back there and all over the place again. Yeah. So I'm hoping maybe someday we can reconnect and touch base and maybe do some work together. I've had the privilege. I worked him one time for Defiant. There's always that just chance. Hopefully we bump into each other, and because like I said, he gave me my start. But I'm glad to see that hopefully there'll be more people getting to learn from him, because he's got a mind for the business. Yeah. He's been everywhere.
What do you think? Because I guess that at one point he put out there on Facebook. I'm friends with him on Facebook as well. He's been posting things about Assault and upcoming things, etc., etc. He says in 2025 they're planning on making their return to Connecticut.
That's great.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with more places to work.
Yeah.
I haven't reached out. I haven't talked to him. So hopefully if I touch base, maybe something will come of it. But we'll see.
Jimmy Valiant, Boogie Woogie, legendary Boogie Woogie. Wait a minute, baby. Wait a minute. Hang on. What are you doing around
What was that calling there, bud?
This is our neighborhood. You done made a mistake.
You should be retired, Boogie.
Wait a minute, boys. Let me take a bite of my king dog.
You say king dog?
King dog?
Is that what you said?
What? What happened? Come on, boy.
Don't let hunger bully you. Get yourself a king dog, and you too can become a super hunger fighter.
So what's been going on with you in Paradise Alley? I've got a bunch of matches listed here in front of me that you took part in as of late over the last few months and since you've been on the podcast the last time, and you've had quite the event where you've been taking on a lot of the younger talent that's just coming in there. I believe one of the guys, it was his debut match, if I remember correctly, maybe even more than that, more than just the one guy, because I mean you've some of these young guys have been thrown to the wolves, I guess, getting in there with you, and they're really not that experienced.
Man, the talent that's coming out there, they have pushed me to my limits. But again, it's just I have that age and just know when to lay down and pull something out of the hat. But it's been a wild ride, I beat Frost for the U.S. title, and then it was Corey Duke, I always add an S. He's got a lot of talent, and he's got a lot. There's a great upside to him, and then I believe after him, I had a rematch with Frosty and took advantage of. He had a broken thumb.
I believe that match was stopped short by the referee, correct? Because of his, because you're going after his thumb.
Like I say, a win's a win. As long as I walk out with the title, that's all that matters.
Right.
And then I believe it was.
Well, I saw that I got a couple guys here. You took on Marbury at one point.
That was a close one,
yeah.
But luckily I had ace up my sleeve in the basketball. Marbury, a lot of those guys that he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of talent. I always like getting in the ring with Marbury. Again, too, another guy that pushed me to my limits. Deuce, that was his first match. Watching a lot of these guys in the school, it's good seeing them, and it means a lot that Roma and Mario are giving me the opportunity to be their first match. And then it was Mirza. It's been a crazy couple shows, I will say that. These kids, they've got the gas in the tank.
Yeah, he, Deuce, I gotta tell you that I don't like there's something I didn't like about that match, and I'm gonna tell you that he was trying to call me out because I wasn't paying attention to the match for a second there. I'm gonna tell you. He said, I picked up my phone for a second. I was answering a text message, and he said, Rick, get off your phone. I need your help. I was like, this son of a bitch. Like, just called me out in front of a few hundred people out there in the arena. I said, now I might as well just help you, but you were able to take care of that with that stuffed pile driver.
Sure.
So.
A lot of those kids, they have a bright future because they're under a great learning tree.
Yeah.
In Roma and Mar. You know what I mean? They're brought in the right way. They work hard, and
yeah.
Unfortunately, they got fed to the wolves.
Yeah. Mario, Roma must trust you if he's throwing those young kids at you. You know what I mean? And he must, that could be the ultimate test for these kids. You know what I'm saying? Putting these new kids in there, and he trusts you not to necessarily, help them. Basically to help them through the match.
I want to believe, too, I'm down there at least once a week putting in the work, too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah. I believe he sees, he trusts me. It means a lot. So, especially having that, you know what I mean? We all know how it works. When the company decides it's your turn, it means a lot. I was surprised, to be honest, but also, my sights have changed a little bit. I don't know if you saw in the Battle Royal that just happened yesterday, my old tag team partner has returned.
I did. When I saw the graphic come up on the screen and then him come out, Andy Sweet, right? That's who you're referring to? I was surprised. I said, oh shit. I don't even know if anybody next to me realized who the fuck it was. Pardon my language. But I was like, oh shit. Here we go. Like, This is some serious stuff. So,
So-
and there was also some returns and debuts in that Rumble. So,
Yes, sir. Did not win the Rumble, but that wasn't the plan. The plan was, I knew Andy was coming back. So now, let's just say sights have shifted to another set of titles. If I can hold on to this one, but with Andy Sweet being medically cleared, we're getting back together.
so I'm assuming you're referring to the tag team titles. So, there's not a lot of tag teams there in PAPW right now. The tag team division is very light. You know what I'm saying? It's who are the tag team
prime
now? It's the
as we're looking.
Boricua Bombers.
Yes, sir.
What's that? Okay. So
It's
I'm
the
right.
Boricua.
Okay. And they haven't been back there for a few shows. But
They
it's
haven't.
it's not a very heavy. It's not a very heavy tag team division right this second, like at this present moment.
It's not. I'm not sure when we're going to be tagging up, but sooner than later.
Right.
Just waiting.
Well, I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope that that's going to end up working out. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, me and him, we go back a very long time. We have tagged before. We were tag champs in a company in Mass, Revival Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
And then I left for Florida. Ironically, how we look, Andy Sweet tore his ACL, and then the funny thing is how we lost the tag titles is we had Marcel Williams fill in for Andy Sweet, and he cost me the tag team titles.
Really?
Seems like he doesn't like being in tag.
No, I mean, I've seen him tag up a little, quite a bit, but it doesn't always work out because he's, who was he tagged in? But Troy Stevens for a while over there, and he literally walked out on him and said, "Forget this."
Yep. But yeah, we've been wanting to get back there and tag team. But he tore his ACL, and he's been on the shelf for a while. And he's cleared. We're gonna maybe cause some havoc in PAPW.
Yeah. So it seems like there's just a lot of really great talent there. Zach Gibbs returned last night as the Scarecrow under the mask, and that was quite an interesting thing. I was there the night that he did he break his leg, if I remember correctly, when he came down?
I believe he broke his leg. I was in the back.
Yeah, I didn't even know it until after the fact. I saw him getting helped up, and I wasn't sure exactly what the issue was. But it wasn't until after I had gotten home that night that I had heard it from somebody. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. Knock on wood. Luckily, I've never had crazy, serious injury. But glad to see him back. I'm sure he's going to be wanting a shot at that thing. But yeah,
I mean, one of the other things is I want to.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think we're having a glitch area. Here, I wanted to ask you, was one of the things I was curious about is you were the United States champion. Now, I've been speaking to a lot lately, probably the longest reigning United States champion in Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling history, Bloodsaw. What would you think if he was about to come back for that belt? And I think that, it's been a while since he's come after that title.
I'm open to all challengers. He was my first opponent in PAPW, so we have quite a history. He's beaten me twice, so I'm sure he thinks he can just walk in and it may be the same outcome, but trust me, it won't be the same outcome. But I'm open to all challengers.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd like to mix it up with him again. Even Troy Stevens. I welcome anybody. As of right now, I know for Mania in Paradise, I have an open contract and nobody signed it yet. But I'm sure somebody will hop on it because I'm open to anybody.
Well, it's still a few weeks away, so it's still a few weeks away. Yeah.
Yep.
It's still a few weeks away, so I'm sure we're going to find out at some point what that who that opponent is. You know,
I'm surprised nobody.
If it's named, unless it's just going to be a no. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm surprised there was nobody willing to take the challenge for the Rumble. But
yeah. I
had plans.
I'm
for
surprised as well, to be honest with you. Yeah.
But, hey,
yeah, I'm surprised. What did you think of the Rumble as a whole? I thought it was. Did you watch any of it before? Prior to or post elimination?
I watched a little bit post, but I have to say, Mirza got one up on me. Mirza. He's going to send him sailing, and all of a sudden I'm being thrown over the top. But hey, he got his. He got eliminated by Jeremy. He's another one that's on quite a bit of a tear.
Jeremy Lacroix is another young star coming out of Paradise Alley. He's got an attitude. He's got no problem shit talking people, but when he goes out there, he really is just, I'm not kidding, like, when I first met this kid about a year prior to his debut, I come down to the school, and he'd always come down to Coliseum Pro and help out at the shows, this and that. I always thought he was a nice kid. I didn't really think that he looked like he was, like, he didn't look like a wrestler. He didn't look like he was going to be, you catch my drift? Like, he didn't look like he was going to deliver anything, but then Garcia kept talking about how good he is in the ring, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. Then I saw him wrestle, and I was literally blown away at like how good Jeremy Lacroix actually is in ring.
He runs that mouth and he backs it up. He's going to be another one.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Everywhere he goes, I'm sure he will have gold around that waist. Sooner or later. All those students.
Yeah.
They're all
let's talk about
hungry.
Let's talk about the Duke boys. You were just mentioning Corey Duke a few minutes ago. That kid's been out there working, and I got to say that for a kid that's been in there such a short time, he's very, very good. Like I was there for his first match at the brewery, and I was like, this kid, holy crap, this kid's just really good. And he looks like he's been doing it for years. You know what I mean?
He's got freakish strength and ability. It just, when we worked and locked it up, I was like, oh man, I'm in for some hard work with him. Like I said, he's got a lot.
The Duke boy, but now there's another Duke boy that just
Where
debuted Well, I wouldn't say he debuted last night. He snuck into the ring a few weeks ago, rolled up somebody for a pin. I'm trying to remember who, but then he made his official debut last night in the Rumble. I know, right? I know, right?
Hopefully, there's not another one because they just keep getting bigger and bigger. There's a lot of upside to the Duke boy, singles or tag. We got in the ring and tore it up, and they can go. The gas tank to go as long as they want. Again, too, I'll say it again. All of those PAPW kids, they all have something to offer and bring to the table, and as time goes, they'll get better and better. and the guys that even haven't started wrestling yet, a lot of the students there, it's Roma and Mario just keep putting out and training great quality performers. So
how would you say that? Like, I think that
they do it the right way.
Mario, but I think that Roma's got like, this is a guy that was on TV for a very long time. So was Mario, but this is a guy that's got like a particular mindset and particular skill that, you know, he's up here putting, you know, he's training these guys. I mean, to me, Paul Roma's a legend. You know what I mean? This guy was, he was one of the best performers of his era. I mean, I think he's a terribly underrated performer because I don't think he gets the recognition he necessarily deserves. But, you know, I think that he was probably one of the best performers like of that era. And, you know, he's out here now teaching a lot of these young kids.
Yep.
Really? Okay.
Well, and then you got to think, Andy Sweet, he's a Roma guy. Marcel, he's a Roma guy. It says a lot that there's
Yep.
Even, well, Brian Anthony, he was a Roma guy. You know, it says something to that effect that there's all these Roma guys. You know what I mean? You're going to learn.
He's going to prepare
the right
you for
way.
TV. You know what I mean? Like,
even
because he
now
was a wrestler on television, and you know these days, places like WWE, TNA, AEW, they look for. There's a certain look you need to have, and he is ready for that. He knows how to do that.
Secondhand Heroes and Home for Wayward Villains is a comic book shop and gaming store that also features Magic the Gathering and D&D. Located at 18184 Leesville Road in Evington, Virginia, Secondhand Heroes is your one-stop shop for you to get your nerd on. Open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. They don't close until the dice stop rolling. They buy, sell, trade, barter, and haggle, specializing in collectible toys, both vintage and modern, comics, Magic the Gathering, video games, console, and arcade cabinets to play, all set to free play. Host your game night with us. Monday night D&D video game competitions, and so much more. Something for the collector and gamer in us all. Call 434-317-0121 or shoot us an email with any questions to secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. Note, secondhandheroesva@gmail.com. That's 2ND, handheroesva@gmail.com. Come game with us.
He's only going to give you good knowledge and advice, and he's going to train you the right way. Even now, with me going down there, I've learned so much that's helped me along the way. You know what I mean? I always go to him and Mario and go, hey, what do I need to change? What can I do? What do I need to get better? So going there, you're going to learn.
I mean, those guys are everywhere. Yeah.
Well, even the Miracle Generation, they're Roma. Yep. So it says a lot. You know what I mean? And I see those guys in there. And it's a great place to be and learn and grow. And so,
yeah.
It's just
so
the place
do you
to be,
watch
in my
wrestling
opinion.
today in your personal life? Do you actually sit around and watch TV at all? Yeah.
So, I do. But it's mainly, I'll watch clips, and then if it interests me, I'll watch those stories. But every once in a while, like, I'll throw on a pay-per-view and watch that stuff to keep up. I've never watched a whole AEW show. Nothing against the product. It's just, if something catches my eye, I'll go back and watch it, but I haven't sat down and watched a full Raw or SmackDown or anything of that nature in quite a long time. I'm sure once WWE's on Netflix, I'm sure I'll throw on Raw, but there's just so much wrestling now that it's just...
Like, how old are you, Mooch? 47? Oh, 37, because I think
87.
your older brother, he's like roughly around my
37.
age, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid growing up in the 1980s, there wasn't that much wrestling on TV, and in the 1990s, there was probably even less. It was basically the war between WWE and WCW. In the 1980s, I used to get, WWE or WWF. They had 3 or 4 different television shows in the markets. NWA had probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5, and then there was the the Saturday night show that they did, and then of course there was AWA World Class, other territories. I'd get Florida up here sometimes, Memphis. Right now there is more wrestling on television than I could ever imagine. If I was a kid, like in the 1980s and all this stuff was happening, I'd probably be in love, and I'm like going crazy. But now, as a almost 50-year-old man, working constantly, and then of course doing wrestling as a hobby, like doing announcing and working, podcasting, all that stuff, I don't have time to sit down and watch every single thing. I don't know who does sit down and watch every single thing, but even if you don't like something, there's something out there for everybody at this time period.
I agree. I've never been one to crap on anything wrestling wise. There's so much wrestling now that there's something for everybody, and if you don't like it, don't watch it. I don't like those internet people that just crap on stuff that they think they can crap on. Now there is some indie stuff that I've seen and watched, and I go, but again, like you're saying, there's so much wrestling out there, not even counting, there's independent stuff now. There's so much independent stuff that on top of all the major promotions, you got like
it's got like,
what do they have, that internet wrestling,
if you look at Friday, Saturdays,
TV
and
where
Sundays, it's constantly streaming Friday and Saturday, Sunday. And then, there's Thursdays, there's programs at Wrestling Open on Thursdays, and which I do tune in if I'm not at work. There's people I know that are on that program because it's like an hour away from here, so I tune in. I get to see Marbury on there each and every week, so it's kind of cool to see him on such a large platform. It's a great platform. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's on there, but I'm very picky when it comes to professional wrestling. I'm an old school style wrestling fan. I like traditional style wrestling. And you said that you don't crap on stuff, but if you've heard my conversations with certain people, I will absolutely crap on certain things. So, not in that internet fashion, however, you know what I'm saying? If it's, which it's different. I like deathmatch wrestling. I don't like intergender wrestling. I'm a very traditional person, and it's, I want to see professional wrestling succeed, but I don't want stuff that just I look at and it's just trashy in a way. You know what I'm saying?
I will agree. I will agree with you on certain things. I've never been a big fan of intergender wrestling.
Okay.
I think deathmatch wrestling has its place if done right. Again, too, it's you could tell a story with weapons, but
make it matter, make it important. Like if there's
a
feud
going
on,
not my
and
cup
all of a
of
sudden
tea.
it's the end of a feud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like a big blow off match. So
yeah, but like you're so when I was a child of the Attitude Era.
Same.
The Monday Night Wars, and then you had ECW. I was a big ECW fan because to me, a lot of those guys, it looked like, oh, I could fit in there. I could work there because they weren't all 6 foot, 7 foot, you know what I mean? Big muscled up guys. But now it's like you got AEW, WWE, TNA, you got MLW, you got NWA to an extent, and then everything else under the sun. And then
there's great platforms like YouTube.
There's so much wrestling. I don't know. I don't think even
now when I was running a website, I went through and gathered information on every YouTube internet stream. Do you realize that I found multiple programs that stream each and every day, 7 days a week? So that's just to say, like, YouTube is a gigantic platform, professional wrestling. Everybody puts on a 30-minute to an hour wrestling program. The internet has just opened up so much for companies that might not be able to get regular television, that there's streaming platforms. And we're just talking about IWTV. We're talking about YouTube. And mind you, there's other streaming platforms that Fight, or excuse me, Triller, whatever you want to call it, Title Match Network. There's so many different streaming platforms. There's just a place for everybody to watch professional wrestling these days, if to come across whatever they like.
Yep, there's something for everybody, and nowadays I think it's easier to make a living as an independent wrestler than it was, let's say, when I started, or even early 90s, late 90s. Right. Nowadays it's easy to watch your stuff or have somebody watch or just promote. And two, right. It's just learning how to use it properly too, which I'm still learning. But it's a lot easier now, in a sense, to where everybody can see you.
And social media is a big platform as well. Between Twitter, Facebook,
it's just crazy.
Instagram. A lot of people do live streams right on Facebook. Yeah.
Yep. It's just knowing how to use everything properly. And I think just...
Correct. Yeah.
Not all companies know how to use it properly. You know what I mean? So it's crazy the amount of wrestling there is. I remember as a kid not knowing what WCW was until Hogan went there. It's a different time. It's crazy what wrestling has grown into.
As much as I gotta tell you, I enjoy the fact that there's so much wrestling out there. It drives me crazy as well, because I was like, as a kid, I was obsessed with wrestling. Growing up, it's like, am I still obsessed? To an extent, but at the same time, I'm sitting here like, Jesus Christ, there's too much. I try to watch anything that's, at least once to see if I'm gonna like it. In most cases, I'm like, these days, it's like, it's just there's just too much out there for me.
There is, and I like. I'm probably on the same boat you are as into my taste of wrestling. I like stories. I tend to sound like probably the generation before me. I will tell these guys to slow down and just make it mean something. But also, I try and tell them not to have the same match every time, because at some point you gotta have a wide variety of moves in a move set, because at some point I've seen guys have the same match just plugging in a different person. And not to say that I'm not guilty of that, but at some point, how many times are you going to watch the same match over and over and over again? In a sense, not like have your footprint, but I try to swap things in and out, and just depending on who I'm working, try and be a little bit different. Not saying I'm everybody's cup of tea, but just there's a lot of wrestling out there. I want to say it's easier to be a wrestler now, but at the same time, you also have to stand out and be different and have it. Sometimes I struggle. So I try to keep up with everything, but at the same time, I'm happy where I'm at right now, if that makes any sense. I would like to start working more than I
Well,
do.
you're working several times a
but
month now, correct? Like
I'm picky,
PAPW,
very
I
picky.
think over the last couple months is putting on more shows than they have in a while. I remember when I first started hanging out there, you guys were doing, I think, alley fights might have been every week. You know what I mean? They were doing the alley fight series.
So I missed out. So before I moved to Florida, PAPW was the last company I worked for. But I missed the alley fights. That was wrapping up or done by the time I got back. But I believe it was last month to where they had a show every weekend. But I think now with Andy back, things are gonna start picking up in that sense to where me and him are on the same page. We're gonna try and make a good run.
Right. Well,
with the tag team thing, so we're working on King.
well, I wish you the best of luck with
Bugs
that. I
and
hope that
getting him back in the
that's
ring.
going
So
to be successful for you guys. I'm sure I'll be around to witness a lot of this. Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Because like I said, PAPW is home for me right now. They'll always be home and first priority. But we're gonna start dipping our toe in other things. And like I said, it's just me being picky
Right.
and quality over quantity right now is what I'm looking at. Again, too, when I first got back to Connecticut, it was working off the ring rust, and but
There's
a lot of these talents coming out of PAPW, you got to be
Don't
ready.
forget, we didn't
'cause
mention
they're gonna.
we mentioned everybody that's brand new to the company. We didn't mention Kaizu either, who's another young up and comer he's been a little bit brutal. I mean, tearing people apart as of late.
He's a tank. Watching him,
absolutely.
He's an up and coming force too.
The best of luck.
All the
Mooch, what else do you have coming up that you could mention up here before we close up?
nothing right now. Like I said, PAPW is the main focus, but once me and Andy get up and going, there's going to be
Well, I look
there's
forward
going to be a
that.
change
And,
coming.
Why don't
So
you shout out your social media so everybody can go like, share, and subscribe that.
So let's see. Facebook, there's my This Is Mooch Facebook page, and
I
then
believe that's
Instagram.
correct, yes.
I am Red Devil Mooch, I believe. Then I got the YouTube channel up there too. I'm sure if you type in Chris Mooch Wrestling, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
I try and get stuff up there
Mooch, I
daily.
wanna thank you for making an appearance on this.
That's about
this
it.
podcast, and we're gonna have to. I'm going to have you back at some time in the near future.